You see, we can remove your trauma. We can rebuild your heart, and you can step into your truth. Hi, I'm Dr. Kim West. I've walked many women down the pathway to real freedom. So welcome home, buckle up, and we're going to have a conversation. So now let's look at the 10 things you must do to break free of your past. First is counseling. I know that just seems really a simple answer. But if you could have gotten over your abuse on your own, you would have. I have a trauma background. I know what this is like. I know I could not have done a lot of this on my own. But you do have to find the right counselor. I've had a lot of people come to me after counseling with others that said they didn't get any help. For me, it's because we have Christ in our session and he is the one that actually heals. But you have to find the right counselor and you have to do the counseling. And again, it doesn't have to take forever. We could do this in a weekend. And the idea with counseling is not tolerable recovery, but full restoration, permanent, complete healing. Another thing that you have to do in order to rebuild yourself is grieve. When we have been through trauma, when we have a painful past, there's a lot that we lost. What could have been, what should have been, the life that should have been there. We've lost some of ourselves. We've lost trust. I mean, there's a list. And we have to actually look at that list and say, this is what I've lost, and bring it to the Lord for healing. But then I can also say, what good can I bring out of this? What changed in me? Who have I become because of what I went through that I could not have done otherwise? I have to raise that anger to the surface, right? Anger is a part of grief, and sadness must be felt. Life skills. When we are in trauma, we are in survival mode. And so survival skills are not the same as life skills. So I have to kind of look at what were my survival skills. Some of those survival skills we've talked about, self-protection, not trusting. Those are survival skills that say, I don't want to get hurt again. And then I have to look at what life skills didn't I learn. Often there's relationship skills. There are processing skills, how I think about things. There's quite a few different emotional skills that I need to learn. And then all I need to do is really pick the top 5 that would actually change my life if I had them going and get started on them. Another thing that I have to work on is having healthy relationships. When we have been through trauma, we don't trust many people, but there are really good people out there. And all we need to do is learn the red flags, the warning signs. Not everyone has them, but when I can find out what those are, then I really can protect myself from the few people that I need to protect myself from. And then I also need to find some good, safe people to do life with. That's a really good life skill. Another thing is self-love. I need to learn to love myself in a healthy way. Those that have been through trauma or abuse often don't love themselves, don't like themselves. And their inner critic or inner bully is constantly telling them, pointing out all of the minutiae of things that aren't good about them, as well as the big ways of saying, you aren't good enough, you can't do that, you'll never have, et cetera, et cetera. But it is unconditional love that brings us healing. And we get that first from Christ. And then we start to join him in loving ourselves. And when we do that, the inner critic's voice changes to Christ, where he talks about how he loves us, how he likes us, how he has a hope and a future for us. And we begin to speak truth over ourselves. And that truth then sets us free. I'm not constantly beating myself up anymore. Then I need to have healing of all of those memories that caused me pain and have held me back. And this is where I'm really good at this. In an intensive, I work with someone and we bring Christ to those memories. We go back and we heal them completely. And because we're not stopping after a 50-minute session, we keep going until that memory feels like the peace of Christ. We trade the pain for peace. We reframe that memory. We see it through his eyes. We do all the work that needs to be done until you can walk away from that memory going, there's nothing more there. I feel Christ. I feel peace. And we do that memory after memory after memory until there's nothing left to work on. Then we look back at our past, and what we see is Christ there. What we see is that we were always loved. We have never been alone, and God is pleased with us. And that is the one we need to please, which is our 7th point here. When I come through trauma and abuse, I'm often a people pleaser to one degree or another. And I need approval from people, which makes them my master, because what they feel about me determines how I feel about myself that day. But I want you to know that we can have a skill that says, I only have to live for God, to please him. When I am living a life that pleases God and you don't like me, it's okay. I don't need you to like me, God does. And I'm not doing anything wrong if I'm living a life that God loves. He alone knows who you truly are. No one else gets to design you, determine you, tell you who you are. He alone loves you fully. He is your safe place. He is the safe one that you go to find out who you are. Number 8 is hope. You are not trapped in trauma and painful memories. You absolutely can be fully, completely, permanently healed. You have a future freed from the abuse results if you decide to take the steps to gain it. Number 9 is you need resources to combat helplessness. You survived the abuse. Hooray, me too. We came out damaged, but we survived. Now we just need the resources to up-level our life, to learn the skills that we didn't learn, and how to live a healthy life. We have resources that we didn't have when abuse happened. We can grow, we can change, we can become. And we have to resolve our anger. You know, righteous anger is actually good for us. Christ had righteous anger. We should be angry over things that have happened to us and to others. But anger covers pain. So if I'm feeling anger, it feels a lot better than pain, but I also need to deal with the underlying wounds. The pain is healed. Now the anger can be dealt with in a righteous way. And then I need to forgive. I know forgiveness sounds like it's not fair, it's not just, but doesn't let them off the hook. It just transfers them to Christ. They are still on the hook for everything that they did to you. It just gives you freedom. You see, we can remove your trauma. We can rebuild your heart, and you can step into your truth. Like Rachel, who had come to me after one of the hardest childhoods I've ever heard of. She was now filled with anxiety, had a hard time leaving her home, and she had a whole lot of painful memories that kept her life small when she felt this big call on her life. She just didn't know how to break free so that she could live it. She'd been working really, really hard to heal herself. She'd been to some counseling, but was still just limping through life, and the anxiety made her life even smaller. You know, she could have kept going on like that. Don't we all? We've learned how to walk successfully with our limp, but she wanted real success. She wanted success as a person, success in business, success in relationships, and success in her life with Christ. So she came to me, and she was totally skeptical, as everyone is when we start working. And we started the process of reclaiming her life. First was a weekend counseling intensive. In that intensive, her painful memories were completely healed in just days. Her shame was fully removed over the weekend. She loved herself for the first time in her life. That was so amazing to see. She knew that the life she had dreamed of was finally possible. Then we spent the next 3 months together rebuilding her heart, her confidence, and her dreams. You see, just because we're healed does not mean that we are whole, confident, and ready to live a healthy life or even know how to. But she was totally ready after our time together. We wrote out a new life script for her. It wasn't victim, it was victorious. It wasn't someone who had been through trauma and that weight of that. It was someone who was now equipped and empowered for a life with Christ. And she loved the new script. It was the true path for who God designed her to be, and she felt it to her core. This was it. This was the life that always seemed just out of reach, and it was now within her grasp. She could see that a successful life was now hers to claim. So if this resonates with you, if you are tired of your limitations, you're tired of feeling not enough, tired of feeling too much, tired of not being able to just live your life today because of your past. If you want more success, more joy, more freedom, a mind that supports you rather than bullies you, then let's talk. Let's talk about what your life will be like after you are healed, after you are rebuilt, reconnected, and whole, after you are set free to pursue your dreams. If you are a Christian woman who wants to answer the call of her heart, rock the world, and live with power and joy, then I invite you to book a consultation with me. I only take 2 clients a month, so we should meet and make sure that the weekend intensive and the 3 months follow-up life coaching is right for you. I want you to do this if God has other plans. But if this is it, when we meet, I will tell you what our great God can do for you and what your life can be when you are set free. Let's get a vision for who you will be after you are healed, whole, and free. I am so looking forward to our time together.